all checked out of the motel. Let's get on the road. Back on the road, and all I see are wheat fields in every direction. This should be a really beautiful, easy ride today. Look at these rolling hills to the right. It's like a desert with sand dunes, except it's wheat fields. Thought I would take a couple minutes to wander the streets of Harrington, Washington, and show you this little farming community and their lovely little old historic downtown. There's history in these small towns, and it might not be the history of a major city like Cairo or Copenhagen, but it's a history of its own, and it's a real history, and it means something to the people that live here and whose families have lived here for generations. And I just love walking around exploring these old main streets of downtowns like Harrington, Washington. Every town has its grain elevators and its silos where they store their agricultural commodities that are processed from the surrounding fields. And there's trucks coming and going and carrying these things, and pretty much every one of these towns has a grain silo or two. This one has a few of them. Electric Public House. I wonder if that's advertising that they have electricity, that perhaps that sign goes back to a day when electricity was a new thing. You never know what you'll see when you look inside the windows of places like this. Some would say it's just junk, destined for the scrap heap. Others, treasures from times gone by. This is an old building on Main Street with big glass windows. Looking inside, I can see quite a collection of objects from the past, cabinets and other curiosities. Things that were once of value and maybe still are. It's like an antique store where nothing is for sale, just memories preserved in time, a time capsule for another day. See the banisters and the radio transistors, the old Coca-Cola machines, the way the light plays off the surface of the different materials inside. A couple of cars under their covers here. It looks like an old Trans Am. Here's a collection of trucks. Drawings by school children. Each one is magnificent and unique as the rest. And none of this has anything to do with motorcycling, really, unless you consider these sidelong forays into the small towns of America to be part of the motorcycling experience. It's not all about speed. It's not all about being on the bike and under the weight of momentum, of movement. But sometimes it's about slowing down and enjoying and seeing the world around. I found a beautiful cafe on the main street of Harrington where I can sit and enjoy my coffee and watch the world go by. Apparently there's not much of it today because the streets are quiet. And I love finding these little cafes along the way, especially ones like this. There's memorabilia inside, an old gas pump, a globe, notebooks, and of course, what could summarize this better than the joys of traveling the back roads? I'm in the town of Sprague, and there's a collection of old trucks here that would make any old truck aficionado stop and take note. I don't think I've seen so many of them parked in one place in my entire life. Each one is different and as unique as the next. Kind of like those pictures we saw this morning. There's an old International. There's a General Motors truck, a Chevrolet, an old Ford. Every color under the rainbow, green and brown, blue. Wonderful relics from the past. These things are when automobiles were made out of metal. Look at the tarnish and the patina, the chipped and faded and peeling paint, the broken windows, tires with tread worn off, but tires nonetheless, tires that are probably 80 years old. Some of them still have the original advertising logos and contact information emblazoned on the side of the doors. Each one of these a work truck once upon its life, used for hauling people and materials, goods, now fading in the sun. Here in Sprague, Washington, somebody has done a very nice job collecting these and preserving these and setting them out here on display so that folks such as myself can come and take a look and gaze and touch and look at this fine display of old trucks. And you know, the best part is that nobody told me about this place. I didn't read about it on the internet or see pictures from Instagram, but it's just a discovery that I made wandering the back roads on my motorcycle. The best kind of discovery, I feel, are the ones that I can make on my own, because they're real discoveries. They're not points of interest that were pointed out to me or must-see things on a bucket list or places to make the perfect Instagram photo. It's just a real raw slice of life and something that I found just wandering around here in eastern Washington. I don't know what the story is with this place, and it doesn't really matter to me, but all that matters is someone has taken the time and the care to put these old trucks out here. Someone's coming now. I bet you he knows the story about all these old trucks. What did you say your name was?
I'm Mike Allen.
Mike, tell me the story of the trucks here.
Well, let's start with, this is Sprague, Washington. This used to be the end of the railroad line. The railroads didn't stop in Spokane because the Spokane Indians wouldn't allow that. They were pretty tough people. And this town was 25,000 people. So you can imagine how notorious the end of a railroad line was. This is the second or third largest wheat producing county in the whole United States. And these trucks all belong to wheat farmers. And then in the Palouse, which is just south of us, that's where all these trucks came from. And every one of them are from 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. And they're just all abandoned trucks. And it's just started off as Dave Jones across the street. Went to an auction and bought a few trucks. And then Dave Thompson, he bought some old cars, and he's at the other end of town. And then Dorothy Giddings, who's 91, she likes really old cars. And the town is just filled up with old vehicles from the farms. There are several murals. There's one that's repainted over here, which is kind of interesting, in front of the electric car charging station. It says saddles and horse finery. And then there's another one behind me in the building over here, which is an original one. That one is the most photographed in the country. It has never been touched up. And so pictures that are 100 years old, people compare them to it. And then you should take a picture of the charging station with the saddle on the back side of it.
This is just like he said. Here's the old advertising sign, but repainted. Advertising harnesses and saddles and whips for horses. And then turning this way, the new, modern electric vehicle charging station. Sign of the times, a sign of changes in transportation and culture, from electric vehicles back in time to saddles and whips and horses. And over here, it looks like somebody's trying to start their own new truck collection. Looks like they have 4 of them so far, but they've got a long ways to go if they want to catch up with the other collection down the street. Well, I could spend the entire afternoon wandering around this small little town looking at the old trucks and everything else that there is to see, but the fact of the matter is I've got to pound the pavement for a while, and I've got to make some tracks. I've got to make some miles if I'm going to accomplish my desire of making it home in the allotted time. So let's leave Sprague. Thankful that we've had this window of opportunity to see these old trucks parked out here on display for everyone to see. If you're in Eastern Washington, I highly recommend that you look on a map and you find the little town of Sprague. Spend a little bit of time here and walk around in the beautiful outdoor air of this living museum of history, this living museum of vehicles that were used here in Eastern Washington once upon a time to accomplish the tasks of agriculture in the same way that they're accomplished today with new machines. So I'm going to hop on my new machine now and head down the road. Now here, I was traveling through St. John. I recorded one of my favorite images from this whole trip. These gentlemen loading an old vehicle or two onto the back of a flatbed truck. It's a scene that just sort of appeared out of magic. Now I'm going up to a place called Steptoe Butte, and the views from the top are supposedly pretty incredible. Now it is the middle of the afternoon, so I'm not expecting that this will be as stunning as a photograph taken at dawn or at sunset. But nonetheless, since I'm in the area, I figured I should at least drive up to the top and have a look for myself. Hills that you see all around me are remnants of the last glacial ice age, when the glaciers pulverized the rock and turned it into a sediment. And all that powder over the ages has been blown in the wind and is collected here, forming these hills in the distance and making this the most agriculturally productive region in Washington state. Wheat is king here, and you can see the wheat fields out in the distance, some green, some brown. The Palouse. I told you this was an incredibly beautiful place. What a place to take it all in from, here on top of Steptoe Butte. And now we will go down the spiral. From the top of Steptoe Butte, a chance to see the changing landscape from different perspectives as the spiral winds its way down from the top of the mountain. I just stopped on the side of the road to take in this beauty. Isn't she marvelous? It's noisy here. The traffic is just right over here on a busy rural road. Just enough room for me to pull over and park my motorcycle so that I could take a look inside. I don't know the story of this old barn, but she's a beauty. Now here's something you just don't see every day. Old wagon wheels turned into a fence. More than 1,000 of them. There's an old barn over here to my left that was built in 1935. Now it's an arts center. Little did I know that we were on the Palouse Scenic Byway, but this sign proclaims that's indeed where we were. I never knew this place existed in all my years of living in Washington State. I guess I just never really explored this far in Eastern Washington in any great depth. But I've been blown away by how beautiful this landscape is, this Palouse, and it's such a great place to be riding a motorcycle too. The roads are just, they go on forever. Sometimes it's really nice to just smooth it out and just go motorcycle touring.